Hello everyone, this is the Mind of Lilith and welcome to another Open Mind Intuitive Tarot message. This message will be for my subscribers for the next 24 to 48 hours. Okay? Spirit guides, archangels, and divine messengers, what important information and news do we have for the collective for the next 24 to 48 hours? What do they need to be made aware of? What do they need to do? What's going on here? Spirit guides, thank you for your insight, guidance. What's happening for the collective for the next 24 to 48 hours? My subscribers specifically, we have Divine Feminine, Distracted, and Sorrow. I'll take these three. Okay. Yin, feminine energy, distracted, sidetracked, change, and delays, and sorrow, loss, grief, and depression. So there's a lack of self-care among the collective, or within my audience. There are women who are not taking care of themselves. There's a disconnect energetically. These women may be using drugs or alcohol or fantasies to escape their reality. They're not dealing with their grief, depression, feelings of isolation and rejection. You're not in your feminine. Someone is just, there's low self-esteem here, low self-worth, loneliness. Like someone could be single. They've been single for a while. They don't want to be single. This person does not want to be single. They feel invalidated without a partner. But when they're dating people, or when they're dating someone, that person also invalidates them. So the Divine Feminine, this woman, feels invalidated when she's alone and when she's with someone, because that person also invalidates her. So she thinks the solution to her problems and to her insecurities and her sorrow is to find a partner. But her partner will ultimately make her feel the way she's feeling right now. And she's using this partner to distract herself from her own feelings of worthlessness. I'm kind of getting frustrated here. I don't want to say irritated. There's an irritation that's brewing within me because, and it's not judgment, I'm feeling the irritation. Someone feels irritated with themselves. There's a frustration within the self. They're easily angered or triggered. Something's going on here with where this woman is lonely. She wants a partner because she feels worthless without one. But then she ends up attracting partners who make her feel worthless anyway. So she's looking for a distraction. This woman needs a distraction. Somebody wants to be distracted from their own self-work. They don't want to figure out what's wrong, or they don't know what the issue is. It's like, I'm going to keep it a stack. I'm going to keep it a stack. This is the kind of woman that conflates abuse with love, or who needs to get her behind kicked to understand the value of peace, solitude, and self-respect. That's where my irritation is coming in. I think this person needs to learn the hard way the value of self-love and self-respect. They don't see their self-love or their self-worth until they're in a dire situation. It's like life or death or survival. Like somebody needs to be dragged to the white meat. They need to be abused to feel loved or to reconnect with their body. How am I going to say this? Somebody's bored. They are bored. But within the boredom is loneliness and sorrow, right? They're single, they don't have anybody, and they're fantasizing distractions about their ideal partner. But once they meet this person or they're in a relationship, it always devolves into disrespect and invalidation. And then this person subjects themselves to abuse to the point where they completely lose themselves in that relationship, and they need to run away or escape or do something drastic to break free, to get safe. Something extreme has to happen. This person has to go through an extreme level of disrespect, violation, and danger to appreciate themselves and the value of self-love. Then they're single again for a while and they forget what happened before. Like someone's not learning a lesson. They're not learning a lesson. They think that they need a man or a partner to teach them how to love themselves or to validate them. Someone does not appreciate peace until it's taken from them. They don't appreciate self-love until they meet someone who treats them like a dog. And that's the crux of the issue. So someone is fantasizing about a partner or a person, whatever. They don't even know this person, or it's like a fantasy, limerence, distractions. They're using fantasies to distract themselves from their own insecurity, depression, sorrow, pain, and grief. They haven't processed it fully. Somebody needs to reflect on themselves. This is self-reflection, self-evaluation, therapy, journaling. Why? Why do you feel this way? They're not asking themselves this question. They're looking for someone else to give them the answer to their own problems. There's Neptune here with the distractions and the sorrow. This is deep depression, martyrdom, mourning, longing, mysticism, or not mysticism, wishful thinking, fantasy, escapism. It's all here. And someone thinks that if they start dating a person, that person will give them the attention that they desire, or that person's attention will validate them and make them not feel like this. But that's never going to happen, because you keep meeting people who treat you the way that you think about yourself. It's like a magnet. Like attracts like, and you're not seeing that. So someone doesn't appreciate their peace. They wanted drama. And they need the drama to feel, I guess, to make them appreciate no drama. To appreciate their own company. Someone does not appreciate their own company. They think they're worthless without a person. So they're longing for or craving for someone who's going to treat them just like this. Or they'll make them feel just like this. It's going to be cute in the beginning. Well, at least I'm by myself until the indignities, they compound. The disrespect gets worse. Cheating, deception, gaslighting, physical abuse. Like, it's just a lot of stuff. That's somebody really, needs to spend more time alone and appreciate their own company. If you don't appreciate your own company, you're going to keep attracting people who make you feel like this because you're using them as a distraction from whatever issues you have that make you feel this sorrowful, neglected, worthless, nobody loves me, nobody. Somebody needs to find out who they really are. Not on a social level or career-wise. Someone does not know who they are. There's an issue with your identity and sense of purpose. If you don't have a sense of purpose, and you're not connected to your femininity, your own divinity, right, as a being, then you're going to stay in this place. This is like an existential crisis, chronic depression. Someone does not know. Okay, I'm going to say this. The current socioeconomic and socio-cultural structure is not designed to help people discover their purpose. It's designed to help people find a job. And sometimes your job is your purpose. Sometimes that is. But there are some people who have a higher purpose, and that's not on a job application. You can't apply for that job. You have to make that opportunity for yourself. There are little to no institutions that help women or men to cultivate their own sense of identity. They do have, fraternities and sororities and lodges and secret societies. They do have those things. But again, someone is not tapped into or plugged into their own divinity or the source of their own existence. This is ancient. Someone's looking for a purpose or a meaning that has not been defined by the current system that they're living in. It's like an amphibious creature that doesn't have access to water, a mermaid living on land. And the mermaid's trying to figure out, well, why can't I walk? Why don't I have legs? Because you're supposed to be in the ocean. But I'm in a desert. There's no ocean here. So what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to create a situation where you have access to water. So this divine feminine has to create a situation where she can be who she's supposed to be. That's the North Node and or Pluto. And maybe even the midheaven. Who are you supposed to be? If you're not that, if you don't know that, first of all, you have to find out what that is. And once you find out what that is, you have to, surround yourself with people who will help you to cultivate that identity. Or you have to create a circumstance or a situation or an environment where you can be yourself. This man or woman cannot help you to get over this existential depression. It's like a deep, deep sense of longing, of orphaned. Someone feels orphaned from themselves, from society, from humanity, they feel orphaned. Like they don't belong anywhere. So you have to create that place of belonging for yourself. That's going to take effort, intention, creativity, divine feminine energy, empress. You have to become the empress. You have to create the circumstances, the situations, and the environment that is conducive to you being who you're supposed to be. You're not going to find it in a job application. It's not there. Somebody's scared to do that because it's big. It's a big deal. You have to break a lot of rules. The Hierophant is here somewhere, right? The patriarchy, you got to break some rules to do this. Not the rules that, there are two layers of rules, right? There were rules that were passed down by society, the government, the system, institutions, the church. But there are also rules that your parents gave you. Rules that said you cannot do this. You are not that. So this is Saturn energy too. You're controlled by manipulative, abusive parents who did not allow you to cultivate your feminine energy or to express it in some way. And then there's society. There's two layers here. So the education system trains its citizens to perpetuate the system of patriarchy, which kind of extracts the divinity from people. And so there are some souls who are very special who don't fit in with what this is because their role is not defined by a W-2. You don't get taxes for this. You have to make this for yourself. You have to be this. They can't fire you from this position because this is who you are. Someone does not know who they are. Ask Source, ask God for support. Ask the angels, like, who am I? What am I supposed to be doing here? You'll receive some signs or some information about this. But if you don't fit in anywhere, for some reason you're drifting, wandering, unsure of yourself, you don't know what you want to do or who you are or where you fit in, more than likely you have to create this space yourself. It's your I guess your throne or your kingdom was destroyed thousands of years ago. It's like a wandering spirit who's looking for her kingdom or her queendom, and it's been replaced by concrete buildings, streets, trash. Where is my kingdom? And now you're here wandering like a mermaid on dry land, just dragging yourself on filthy streets. You're not being replenished. You're not being nurtured by other mermaids. You're not in the right environment. You have to surround yourself with people who will help you to cultivate this energy. Otherwise, you're going to use a man or other things to distract you from who you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to fit into whatever this is because it was designed to keep you distracted and depressed. Right? This system was designed to imprison, suppress, and oppress, I guess, higher octave beings, very spiritual, very powerful beings, priestesses, wizards, occultists, whatever, oracles. It was designed to do that. So you had parents who suppressed you and abused you in some way, and then you had the system itself. How are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to eat? How are you going to live? Those two limitations. We have Saturn and Neptune here, or Saturn and Jupiter. So you have to create the world you want to live in, period. This is 12th house energy. The 12th house represents the invisible kingdom. You feel this kingdom within yourself. It's there, but you're orphaned from it. And you can't break it. It's like somebody waking up from a coma after 1,000 years. And then your forest, your fortress, is all gone. It's replaced with just garbage and junk and buildings and toxic waste. And you're like, where the hell is my home at? Someone's looking for a home. Neptune could be in the 4th house. You could have Neptune in the angular houses too. 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th house. Or Neptune making a square opposition or a conjunction to the sun sign. Where's my home? Someone feels homeless. Not just within, I guess, their environment, within their own body. You need to reach out to Source, to your spirit guides, to your ancestors from different dimensions, or get around bodies of water, get around nature to find out what the hell's going on. Where are my people at? Where's my kingdom? I don't know why I'm going in this direction, but it seems like you're looking for a person to make you feel like who you're supposed to be. They're giving you the sense of belonging, of empowerment, of actualization. I am who I'm supposed to be. Back in the day, right, when we had villages and little tribes, you would have like the medicine men and women, the oracles and witches, say this child's meant to do this. They're born on this day. This is the meaning of their name. Here's the numerology. All that. They were doing that. We lost all of that. So you have some people who are really royalty, I guess. Not in a hierarchical, like a classist sense, but people whose bloodlines are very ancient. And they woke, I guess they were reincarnated in a whole different system where they were orphaned from their origins, like being born on a different planet. Some of you guys could be from the Sirius system, star system. Sirius, Orion, Pleiades. I'm seeing Sirius though. This reminds me of a mermaid for some reason. And that's the issue. One of the issues. One of the issues that you're having. Let me see what else is going on. Spirit guides, more keywords. It's going to be a long reading today, so brace yourselves. Okay. This has to be done. I was trying to do a 20-minute reading, but not this. Let me get some more keywords, archangels and spirit guides. Some more keywords, please. Ball game player. Let's play. Dropping the ball. Colorful. Making the most of a situation by inflating it. Bounce back. The ball's in your court. Let me get one more. Game player. Game player. Upside down. Ferris wheel. What goes up must come down. Bad will pass. Good will come. Repeating cycles. Getting a higher view. And one more. Let's see how these correlate. Making the most of it. And we have, why are these upside down like this? We have pot, sweet reward, treating yourself something desirable, recreational, giving into temptation. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm sensing play here. None of these things is a job. Like this is, none of these looks like a 9 to 5, right? Something that you like to do for fun is a part of your purpose. It connects with your purpose. Something that you like to do for fun, it will feed you energetically, and it will give you more insight into who you are and what you're supposed to be doing on this planet. Somebody could be too focused on a lover or a job to really nourish themselves through creative self-expression by having fun. The ball is in your court. Court means, in this situation, that, again, you have to be the change you want to see, and you have to create the environment you want to live in, and you have to become who you want to be. But you don't know, not even who you're meant to be, who you want to be. Who do you want to be? Somebody doesn't even know who they want to be. They're just like discombobulated, disoriented, disconnected, disassociated. They don't know who they are. It is lost. They have no what's the word? It's right at the tip of my tongue. Right at the tip of my tongue. I don't want to say signposts, but there are no what is the word? I don't want to say breadcrumbs either. It's not breadcrumbs. There's another term for this, but I'll get to it. It's hard for me to really get into my vocabulary when I'm channeling. It's like it's blank. So one side of the brain, and my channeling's on the other side of the brain. Okay. So there's no, like, was it markers, checkpoints, reference points? You don't have a frame of reference for this. This is so foreign to you. The life you're supposed to live and who you really are is so far removed from your life experiences that it's just, it seems unreal. You have these fantasies or these visions or dreams of yourself, or these instinctual, sensational urges to do certain things, and you're just like downplaying these sensations or these emotions or these desires as, like, I don't know, frivolities, distractions. You need to have more fun. whatever it is that brings you joy, that's what you're supposed to do. And you know that. Somebody's afraid of having fun. They're afraid of doing what they love to do the most. It's like they don't have permission. Somebody have Saturn in the 5th house, an afflicted sun sign. Saturn is on the ascendant. There's some inhibition here where it's like there's something you love to do, depending on, the nodes, the Jupiter placements, Venus placements, Pluto. There's some things that you love to do. You're really good at these, but it's like you're afraid to do it because doing whatever this is requires you to be who you are, and you don't know who you are yet. You have not fully claimed that identity. This is so deep. It's very complicated. You're going to need to ask for support from source. Start journaling and start taking your imagination more seriously. Start focusing on yourself and your dreams and your ideas, writing, artistic endeavor, counseling, teaching, something you love to do. You're not doing it right now. You have not fully embraced that identity because it's so far removed from your childhood experiences. You were not conditioned to be who you're supposed to be. You were conditioned to follow the rules. You were conditioned to suppress yourself. You were conditioned to disrespect yourself, to ignore your own needs. That's how you were conditioned by society and your parents. And so to do this is going to require a lot of self-nurturing. The sorrow is not just about, exes and abandonment. The sorrow is also coming from it's like a missed or wasted opportunity. You're not home. You haven't found your tribe yet or your people yet. It's like being abandoned or stranded in a different planet. Everybody's foreign. Everybody has 2 legs, but you're a mermaid. Nobody looks like you. Nobody sounds like you. Nobody thinks like you. You're really lonely. It's like a strange, foreign place to be in. And you think that if you can find someone to love you in a romantic sense, that will sort of offset these negative emotions, and it won't. It won't do that. You'll feel lonely with that person too. You're supposed to be doing what you're supposed to do in this lifetime, which is fulfilling your purpose. And that's dependent on, again, your midheaven, Pluto placements, the North Node, and so on. Even your ascendant to an extent is a part of that. So you have to do a deep dive into your own psyche and your own life experiences to explore what this is. You may even need to consult with a counselor or a psychic or some sort of practitioner that can help you to do maybe some, I don't want to say hypnosis, but past life regressions to see where you came from and who you are and what you're supposed to be doing in this lifetime. Because somebody feels so orphaned, and it's like a part of that comes from you not being able to express yourself creatively. That's a part of the issue. So we do have the Empress here, the High Priestess, maybe the Moon card, the Devil, the Sun, 5th house energy. We'll see what's happening for the collective. 4 of Swords might be here also. Spirit guides, what's happening for the collective? More insight, please. What else do they need to know about this situation? We have the Tower, an epiphany, some sort of enlightenment, awareness, clarity, major shift and change in perspective based on a message, an experience, a loss. King of Cups, Scorpio energy. You guys may be receiving some sort of insight or an epiphany from me. I'm a Scorpio. Sun card, yes. Enlightenment. The sun breaks through this tower, this megalith, this patriarchal symbol of success and power that is nothing but restrict, limit, block, and control. Breaking free from that. The Hierophant may come up too. The Sun card and the fight. Yep. Internal conflict, fighting with yourself. Taurus energy, because Uranus is currently in Taurus. We got, damn. Don't have air. Okay, we have fixed fire twice. We have fixed earth here too, only because Uranus is currently in Taurus. And we have fixed water. Something fixed has to be transmuted, transformed in some way. Six of Pentacles, material success. This is fixed earth, Taurus energy. 10 of Pentacles. Okay. Take care of the basics first. It's like one step at a time. I'm sensing that you guys may try to rush the process and then get lost or distracted or overwhelmed by what has to be done. The magnitude of what has to be done can be overwhelming for you because you're so excited about this, whatever this information is. You're excited about it, you're enthusiastic about it, looking forward to it, and there's a risk of you burning yourself out or overestimating yourself. It's like someone who, gets motivated to lose weight, and then they're going really hard in the gym, but it's not sustainable. They're going hard for 2 weeks and they burn their body out and they can't go no more. Something like that, where you have to learn how to channel all this energy here, all this fire and light and inspiration and intuition into something practical. The energy has to be balanced. You have to be consistent, and you have to be realistic also with whatever this is. This is a nurturing yourself energy too. You're giving more to others than you are yourself, or you were. Your calling could be sharing your gifts with others, but making sure you retain. Okay, that's what it could be too. Here's the thing. Some of you guys' calling is acts of service for others. Acts of service. Acts of service. What's interesting is that there are two men here who are receiving from a woman. They're begging this woman for sustenance, resources. This is sort of like the Empress in action. Libra energy here and Taurus energy. The Empress in action. You have to restore some sort of balance on the planet energetically. So the Divine Feminine has to, I guess, log in or sign on or become herself to replenish the energies on the planet. There's too much selfishness here, too much masculine energy, capitalism, starvation, slavery, wealth stratification, wealth disparities. You're here to restore some sort of balance. The divine masculine needs it, or the planet needs you to do what you do, whatever that is. You don't have to be a high priestess. You can be a writer, you can be a singer, a dancer, a teacher. They need you to do what you do to restore the balance on this planet and thus rebuild or heal family, community, heritage, ancestry, villages, society. Like restoring the traditions, going back to the way things were. Even though this is Virgo energy, restoring traditions, in a sense, or restoring the connection to the earth itself, or healing the earth. Healing the earth is part of this process. We have Taurus and Virgo, definitely healing the earth. Back in the day, even now, you have deities that represent different archetypes or different expressions of humanity. There are deities that represent the seasons, represent natural phenomenon, represent personality types. And I guess some of these entities have been ignored, blotted out, or just destroyed. They've been destroyed, ignored, starved out. You can't destroy them. They've been ignored. They've been starved out. I think these are the entities you're going to be feeding. Those spirits that cultivate love and peace and purity and children and family and happiness on the planet. They've been starved out by other forces that want the world to be ugly, dry, violent, unsafe, and miserable. Miserable. It was like a war was lost. Some ancient war was lost. And as a result of that war, some of you guys were displaced. You were displaced from your tribe, from your village, from your I don't know, your coven, some institution, your planet. Something happened where an old way was destroyed and replaced with something more masculine, dominant, abusive, controlling, dysfunctional, and hateful. And you're here to restore that balance back to the divine feminine. But you have to know who you are, first and foremost. You were raised to give your power to the same system that's keeping you in this space. The Tower card and the King of Cups. I'm feeling really tired all of a sudden. Knight of Swords, Gemini energy. Princess of Swords, air sign energy. 5 Pentacles right. And the Ace of Swords. Oh, I get it now. The Hermit is here, and the 3 of Pentacles. Hermit. And the Emperor. Yep. I'm assuming this message is helping you guys to understand what's going on and why you've been feeling the way you're feeling and what you need to do next. Because you're feeling like this. Abandoned, neglected, rejected, 5 Pentacles, worthless. But you have resources. You just don't know how to use them. Then you have the Ace of Swords here that's being held by this Princess of Swords. Like, oh, I get it now. I understand. I do get it. You're starting it's starting to click for you that the reason why you're unhappy is not because you don't have a man. It's because you don't know who you are and what you're supposed to do on this planet. You're seeking validation from the system that orphaned you in the first place. You're never going to fit into that system. Clarify the Sun card and the Strife card, please. Sun and Strife. You gotta fight for this, for real. Here we go, Empress. I knew she would come up. Seeing your worth. This is, you have to, yeah. Listen. If you don't know who you are and you don't know your own value, then you're not gonna be able to do this. You're going to feel disoriented, discombobulated. This person is a source of their own wealth. They're the source of their own abundance. They don't need anybody for anything. Not in a, I hate you, bitterness, I hate men. No. It's like my value comes from me and my sense of purpose. Empress here. Going against the divine masculine. There's this war between these two entities, these two archetypes. The divine masculine is that tower you were in, right? Concrete buildings, square blocks, destruction of nature, of the ecosystem, of the environment, of women. And because you were in that space and you forgot how you got there or forgot who you were, you stayed distracted and looking for this enemy to validate you. You're going to find out this is your enemy. Not all men. I didn't say all men. But the archetype of the patriarchy is your enemy. That energy is what's keeping you from being who you're supposed to be. And unfortunately, this emperor is not a kind emperor. This emperor is quite selfish. They want all the money, all the power, all the wealth, all the knowledge. And the rest of us are supposed to be here begging for crumbs and scraps. And the empress is like, all my children deserve to eat, no matter how much money they make. When I create trees that bear fruit, the fruit is free. The trees are free. Everything is free. I'm giving unconditionally to all of my children, no matter what race, age, class. This emperor's like, no, you got to pay for that. You haven't earned the right to be on this planet. And if you are here, you're going to be exploited by me. You must serve me. That's this energy. And the empress like, no, that's not true. Most mothers treat all their children the same in extent, right? They feed all their children. They clothe all their children. They may discipline them differently because, children have different temperaments. But for the most part, mothers have an unconditional love for all their children, regardless of the race, age, whatever. Baby daddy's different. Doesn't matter. These are my babies. So you have to get to the point where you know who you are so that you can be a mother to humanity or to your village or to your community. You can restore that matriarchal energy to this community. It's not based on money. It's not based on class. It's not based on your appearance or your tribe. It's based on you existing on this planet. Period. That's the only qualification. Are you born? Are you here? You hungry? Okay. If you go into the woods, or not into a woods, into a garden, and there is a peach tree, and you're a mass murderer, that peach tree is not going to say, I'm not going to feed you. The mass murderer has the same right to that peach tree as someone who's not a mass murderer, as a saint. That's the equality of the divine feminine. There is no differentiation between any of her children, regardless of what they do, because it's all love anyway. I'm not saying that people should be mass murderers. I'm not condoning that. What I'm saying is that the love of a mother is different from this patriarchal system here. The matriarchy loves everyone the same. The patriarchy loves you based on what you have, what you can do, what you can produce, what you can create, how much money you can spend, how much power you have, conditions, conditions, conditions. And if you don't meet those conditions, you're going to be starved out, begging for assistance, support, warmth, comfort, love. Clarify the Six of Pentacles card. So you have to become who you are to stop this situation from being what it is. To heal the planet, help to heal the planet. Not by yourself, because other people are also coming online. There are other women doing the same thing you're doing right now. It's not just one person responsible for saving the whole world. That's not on you. You may just be in charge of your little community or a school or your family. It don't have to be the whole world, right? The Two of Swords and the Eight of Cups. Walking away from success. Walking away from something that you valued or you were emotionally attached to. And I think it was this false sense of identity that was based on a relationship. The norm, walking away from normative expectations. Someone's changing their whole mindset about their life in general. Walking away from the system, getting off the grid. A tough decision, going it alone. especially if you have some resources. You already have a house and a car, whatever. You may have to give up some things to do this. The Queen of Wands, yes. And the Hangman, yes. Pisces energy, 12th house energy. You're going to have to come into your power. You have to walk away from this. So this is Pisces inaction, right? Inaction that leads to, or reflection, a period of stillness, reflection, and stagnation. Inaction that leads to some sort of epiphany or insight. The Sun card and the Tower card, right? And then we have the active expression of Pisces, the Eight of Cups, walking away. Inactive or passive to active. So you're taking action at this point, and you're walking away from something that you may have valued. You're walking away from a family, walking away from society, from a belief system, institutions, things of that nature. And yeah, you're going to find your way. Spirit guides, more insight. Let me get the purposeful career card. Let me get the purposeful career card, and then the soul truth card. So spirit guides, what's happening here? More insight, please. Advancement and skills. One more. Maturation. Okay. Career growth can be expected in your field of work. Opportunities are coming your way, so don't waste your time and improve your finances. Skills. Investing in your skills is a great way to make money. You can provide services. Six of Pentacles. Using your expertise to build a stable income. Here's how you will know if this is for you. You may receive an increase in income, a raise, a promotion, tax return, something. And this increase in income will give you enough money to save so that you can start this side project. Because the universe knows you got to pay bills. You're still in the system. You still have to eat, right? You're not going to be out here starving. The Empress is not starving for anything. She has everything she needs. So you may receive support from the universe financially through a promotion or raise, or I don't know, some unexpected cash flow. And this money will help you to do whatever this is to help humanity outside of your job. Because most of you already have a job. And that job is why, again, you're feeling disassociated, disconnected, discombobulated, disembodied, disoriented. All of this is, okay? That's why that's happening. And the universe knows that you can't walk away from that job without having, some stability. 10 of Pentacles. You may be able to do that. You may receive a chunk of money, settlement. You may lose your job and receive severance pay if you lose your job. Again, a contract is a big chunk of money could come in that will give you the freedom to do this. This may happen within a few, I would say 3 months. 3 weeks to 3 months. You're becoming more mature in handling your finances, taking responsibility. Taking responsibility. 6 of Pentacles. These people are depending on her for their sustenance. In order for you to be responsible, you have to know your role, or the role you're playing in other people's lives. What role do you want to play in your family, in your community, in society, on social media, in your relationships? What role do you want to play? Once you know that, you'll be able to take responsibility for that role and do what you need to do to help others in that sense. Taking responsibility is exciting but challenging. It is time to be dependable, not distracted and sorrowful. You're not dependable because you don't even know who you are. You're like drifting from pillar to post mentally, emotionally, moods changing, minds changing, goals changing, objectives changing, attitudes changing, just not knowing, just feeling like you're swirling around in the ocean with like you're in, I don't know, up the creek but no paddle, that kind of energy. Just being controlled by the currents of life but not knowing how to swim. You weren't taught how to use your own fins or your own skills to swim. You were taught to follow directions. You were taught to ignore your own needs. You were taught to suppress your identity in some way. You were taught to just not be yourself and to just follow rules. And so now you're in uncharted territory, unfamiliar territory, and you don't know how to swim here. And you're thinking that you won't drown if you have a man or a woman or a partner or whatever to validate you through marriage or relationship. Someone feels like they're being drowned or they're drowning in hopelessness, helplessness, lack of responsibility, lack of just not knowing who they are. They're just drowning or just flailing in the water, not knowing how to swim. You have to really find out who you are and what you're meant to do here on this planet. And then you need to have fun. Do things you enjoy doing, what you've loved to do since you were, I don't know, a kid. This is everybody has their own skills, right? Jupiter is in everybody's chart, and so is Venus. So we all have a natural ability for skill. What's going on, spirit guides, for the collective? One more card, please. How can I deepen my trust? What am I most afraid of losing? Let's see, one more. What excuses am I making right now? And this right here, I'll take this. How can I deepen my trust right now? Trust and surrender. Let go of the wheel. This Ferris wheel here. Let go of this Ferris wheel. What goes up must come down. Letting go of control. Letting go of fear, inhibitions, insecurities, repetitive negative thoughts. What do they call engrams? Let go of the will. You can trust. You can trust yourself. Trust fully in yourself. And you can't do that if you don't know who you are and what your purpose is. Trust fully in yourself so that you can deepen your trust in others. Trust creates safety, and when we feel safe, we feel unstoppable. Today's soul action. Let go and trust. Today, find your center in the chaos. And I mentioned a swirling body of water you're in. Unfamiliar territory. Today, find your center in the chaos, and be certain with yourself so that you can deepen your trust in others. Where's your tribe, your coven, your club, your community, your clique, your village? Where are they? What excuses am I making right now? No more waiting. There will never be a good enough time. The time is now. If it is important enough to you, you'll find a way to do this. I kept mentioning that the way you were raised and your life experiences did not prepare you for what you have to do or who you are. They didn't prepare you for that. It's so foreign to you. At the same time, it's familiar. It's foreign but familiar. Familiar based on your ancestry, your lineage, your heritage. But I guess there's some conditioning. You were conditioned to think a certain way about yourself and your value that disconnects you from your purpose. That's what the patriarchy was designed to do. If it is important enough to you, you'll find a way. Today, make a decision and do it even if you don't feel ready. Listen to your heart, you'll be led. Okay? What is the most limiting belief keeping me from what I want right now? What story are you telling yourself? When you think about your dreams, what is the first limiting thought that comes to your mind? Why can't you do this? Or I mentioned fear earlier. What's the worst that can happen? Why are you afraid of the worst that could happen? If you're not living the life you desire, it's because a part of you doesn't believe it's possible. And you don't believe it's possible because, again, your childhood experiences and the environment you were raised in, your parents and society, they didn't train you for this. There's no place for what you're doing, or it's not a W-2. You're going to have to make this into a job. It's like when hip hop was created, it was not a genre initially, or jazz. Those were created by marginalized and disenfranchised people. So that is a whole different way of thinking and doing and being and creating music that came from their ancestors. They weren't taught that. The same thing here. You have to have the courage to just be who you are. To just express yourself without worrying about how other people feel about it. Uranian energy is here. Uranus and Taurus. You have to lean into your Uranus energy. I don't know what your Uranus is. Uranus could be first, second, third, fourth, depending on the sign. I don't know. Depending on where Uranus is in your chart, that's where you're supposed to make change. That area of your chart is where there's the most instability, and the sign that Uranus is in determines what is going to shift radically in your life. Okay, for example, Uranus in Scorpio, radical shift in sexual relationships during this time period. This is the late 70s, early 80s. Late 70s, early 80s. Uranus in Scorpio, HIV epidemic, crack epidemic, crime, radical shift in criminal behavior, the underworld. There's a lot of shifts that occurred in that time period that permanently altered the way that we interact in relationships and sexual behavior. Uranus in Scorpio. Uranus in Sagittarius, a radical shift in belief systems and values. Politics, right? Shift in politics. This generation went through 9/11, the war on terror, a lot of stuff, right? Uranus in Capricorn, radical shifts in industry, in trades, the job market, business. So it depends on where Uranus is in your natal chart, where you'll see these, where you can kind of break through some of the conditioning and the programming. And depending on the aspects to your personal planets, like your sun, moon, or rising sign, you'll see how that play out. So if you have Uranus on the ascendant or Uranus on the sun sign, this is a radical shift to your identity as a person. You're very independent. You don't follow the rules. There is a possibility that is the case. You may be someone who's very radical, but I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing Saturn more so Uranus. Someone's Saturn is stronger than their Uranus. You may have Saturn and Uranus in the same sign, like Gen Z, born in 1980, not even Gen Z, older millennials, born from like 1989 to like 1991. Pluto and Scorpio, but Neptune, Uranus, and Saturn were in Capricorn, that time period. So yeah, depends. So you follow the rules and you break them at the same time. Well, there's a time period when you're restricted by rules, limitations, And then there's a time where you have all this freedom and you're breaking all these rules. It depends. It's a very challenging energy to manage because there are extremes. Uranus and Saturn are enemies. Saturn castrated Uranus. They're not friends. So it's hard to like integrate both together. And I want to get into it too much in this reading because that's more of an astrological conversation. But in this case, yeah, you guys may have to look to your Uranus to understand how you're going to break free from some sort of conditioning that was created by a father figure, authority figure, the system, your parents, government, education, religion, so on and so forth. It is time to upgrade. Look your belief in the eye. Where did it come from? Right? What new belief are you ready to adopt in its place? This is you creating a whole new world for yourself, for you to do what you need to do for the collective, for humanity. How will this change your results? What new belief are you ready to adopt in its place, and how will this change your results? Remember, your belief is the root of your results. Own it, heal it, and upgrade it. So you have to own whatever this energy is, this sorrow, there's a lot of layers here. You may think your loneliness is because of not having a partner. And then it'll turn into, well, the reason why I want a partner is because I was never taught to love myself. My parents abandoned me. Now you got to deal with the parental alienation. The reason why your parents alienated you in the first place is because they were raised to basically destroy your divinity by the system, right? They were raised to do that to you. They were trained and conditioned by society and raised by their own parents to destroy their own divinity and thus yours. A lot of layers here that have to be unpacked. Okay? All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I look forward to reading your feedback. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon.